I just have a few minutes of reflection really on the history that brought us here. This is an exciting day for me personally, for our whole team at Prairie Care, I think for all those involved in this project, but of course most importantly for the children of Minnesota who are suffering from psychiatric disorders severe enough to sometimes require treatment in an inpatient facility. Today is really a day that's been a decade in the making. It's about 10 years ago that Karen Fergain and I, Karen's now our COO here at Prairie, we're sitting up in Fargo, North Dakota, beginning a market needs analysis for inpatient care in the Twin Cities. You see, we were admitting children from the Twin Cities over 200 miles from home to our Fargo facility. This was a clue to us that there was a shortage in Minnesota. Our analysis had been reinforced by a 2002 Minnesota Psychiatric Society report that, among other things, announced a state of emergency for child psychiatric services in Minnesota 12 years ago. What we knew for sure was that although the Twin Cities had 10 times the population of children and adolescents than we served in Fargo, at the same time it had only twice as many beds for inpatient care. What that meant was that on a per capita basis, we were offering 5 times the service capacity in Fargo than was available to Minnesota children. And our service capacity much of the year was full with children who genuinely needed those services. So it wasn't rocket science to conclude that this was a situation where private initiative might well serve the public good. And frankly, as a native Minnesotan and a U of M medical school graduate, it felt like an imperative. Of course, we knew better politically than to recommend quintupling the capacity of services in Minnesota. So in 2008, our initial hospital moratorium proposal was to increase by up to 60 beds the services for children and adolescents in Minnesota. That was about a 50% increase, a little more than a 50% increase, not a 5 times increase in the capacity that existed. To make a very long story short, that was too much too fast for the political appetites in 2008. However, with wise counsel from Tom Lehman, our political consultant, and courageous leadership from Representative Marcia Swales, who's with us today, we were able to go back in 2009 and obtain a compromise solution for 20 beds, which we built in Maple Grove, and that opened in 2011. However, since those beds filled immediately and demonstrated indisputably that that was an insufficient intervention, we were able to go back in 2011 to the legislature and obtain permission for a 50-bed facility, which you now see beginning to rise before you. So here we are today, 3 years later, having proved sadly beyond a shadow of a doubt that 20 additional beds weren't enough, but finally on the verge of adding nearly as many beds as we asked for 6 years ago. 3 legislative struggles and an inconvenient recession later. But we are here, and we are here now, and I thank you personally for your support, and on behalf of the children of Minnesota.